Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California.
Well, clearly someone didn't talk to the secretary about that lack of evidence, because he seems to think there was. He's a talker, right? And
he had something to say.
He had something to say. And the thing about it, Congressman, he was really comfortable. I think he kind of got in a space, like Trump does this sometimes, where he gets someplace and he just doesn't realize where he is, and it just comes out. And I think that's important.
He's a former prosecutor. I mean, he's your ideal witness, right? You get him comfortable.
There you go.
He's going to give you the goods. It's not clear if it's for his own vanity and he just wants to be the center of attention, but for the sake of the victims who are hoping that somebody talks, this is a development. But it also would explain, to me at least, why the White House and House Republicans are working to such great lengths to bury the Epstein files like a mile beneath the earth. I mean, it looks like they're being blackmailed, right? I mean, we're in a Epstein shutdown right now. I went to Washington earlier this week, and the doors to the Capitol were closed because they don't want to swear in a member of Congress who will be the 218th signature that would force a vote on the Epstein files. So they've decided it's better to shut down the country, to not negotiate a way to open this up, than to have whatever the hell is in the Epstein files that's connected to Donald Trump.
Let's talk about that new member of Congress. This is what Adelita Grijalva said in a statement earlier this year. 2 Republicans in Florida were sworn in during pro forma sessions less than 24 hours after their elections. The fact that Southern Arizona is being treated differently raises serious questions about political motivations, especially since I have pledged to be the 218th signature on the discharge petition to force a vote on the Epstein files. Do you have a sense, Congressman, of legally how long they can wait before swearing Grijalva in?
I mean, they can wait the whole Congress. It's really up to the Speaker of the House. It's unprecedented. And again, if they're going to keep the Congress shut down, they're keeping the country shut down. So I feel for our troops who are not going to be paid by the 15th of the month, the air traffic controllers who are supposed to make sure planes aren't crashing, FBI agents who are investigating terrorism cases who are also not going to be paid by the 15th of the month. And again, for what? Because you don't want to swear in somebody who's going to force a vote on the Epstein files? Or the Epstein files and protecting Donald Trump that important that everyone else would have to suffer? I mean, it's really remarkable. And I hope that, the country demands that their legislators get back to Washington and reopen Congress.
So, Congress, I just want to be clear there. I want to draw that out a little bit. So this seat that has been won by a Democrat, the Congress is
It wasn't even
closed
close,
now.
right? It wasn't even close.
It wasn't even close. So there is nothing that has harmed or impaired her coming to this seat legitimately. There's no question about that back in her state. So the Congress stays closed. That 218th vote is not cast, that she doesn't get seated. At some point, are you saying that they literally could just keep the Congress closed down? Because they have to open it at some point, don't they? I mean, they cannot not seat her. They have to seat her at some point.
You would think, I was knocking on doors yesterday in my district to get Prop 50 passed, the redistricting measure. And everyone is watching the shutdown. And a senior citizen asked me when I was at our door, she said, is my Social Security check going to be delivered? People have questions and they expect us to be in Washington working. And look at the amount of time we've squandered on the clock to negotiate a way out of this shutdown over the last 8 weeks. They sent us home about 2 weeks early in August because they didn't want to have votes on Epstein. And now, they canceled the 2 votes that the 2 voting days we were supposed to have this week because of Epstein. And people are hurting and people are suffering. And it's really going to take pressure from the American people. And 48% of Americans are blaming Republicans for the shutdown, as opposed to 30% who are blaming Democrats. And those numbers have to move Donald Trump. He's a numbers guy. He wants to be liked. He wants to be popular. And I hope it forces him to the table to reopen government.
Well, speaking of the shutdown, also, Mr. Secretary Lutnick, if you are watching or you happen to see this clip, we don't know if you were being glib or trying to send us a message, but blink twice, honey, if you have something to say. Feel free to come here and say it. We are listening. Speaking of the shutdown, Congressman, the Justice Department website blamed Democrats for the government shutdown. This is what the DOJ website says right now. Democrats have shut down the government. Department of Justice websites are not currently regularly updated. Please refer to the Department of Justice's contingency plan for more information. I used to work in the government. I don't think the government shutdown precludes the websites from being up. And I also think that it is a violation of the Hatch Act to blame the other political party for the government being shut down on the government websites. One, what is going on here? But two, what can anybody do about this? Because it seems like they is in this Trump administration, from the Department of Justice to the Department of Education, from the White House podium, there's very partisan language that is being spewed here. And it is a lie, by the way. The Democrats did not shut down the government, but, it's important to say that. But what can be done? Because these feel like blatant violations of the Hatch Act, but who's going to enforce the violations of the Hatch Act?
Yeah, violations of the Hatch Act are 10 exits ago, right? Like they don't care about that anymore at all. I mean, that's so clear. I mean, the president is, openly taking, contributions to his meme coin from foreign governments. I mean, these rules don't apply to them anymore. But the American people care because they're the ones who are paying the price. They're the ones who are paying more at the grocery store because of the tariffs. They're the ones who are seeing their speech silenced every time the president can't take a joke, and dissent is punished more and more. So we're not helpless. Here are a few things we can do just in the next 30 days. There's a No Kings rally on October 18. There were 7 million people who marched at the first one back in July. If we double that number, that'll get every Republican lawmaker's attention. On November 4, there's the Fab Four, I call them, as far as races across the country that matter. Prop 50 in California, retaining the 3 Supreme Court justice seats in Pennsylvania, the governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey. If we show up and win those races, that's momentum. That is the confidence we need to get back and take us into the midterms, where we can demoralize their base, turn out ours, win the midterms, and cut our time in hell in half. So there's work to do. We're not helpless, and it's time to do it.
Congressman, real quick before we go, since Simone brought up the DOJ, I want to pull up some reporting from our colleague Ken Delaney. And the DOJ fired the top national security prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia a few hours after MAGA activist Julie Kelly denounced him on X because he has been detailed to work for the Deputy Attorney General in the last administration. Michael Ben-Ari was a DOJ lifer who worked his way up the career ranks. He was the lead prosecutor in a case the Trump administration has boasted about against an accused terrorist alleged to have been involved in the 2021 suicide bombing in Afghanistan that killed 13 U.S. service members. What does it tell you, Congressman, that the Department of Justice is now seemingly taking orders from MAGA activists on Twitter?
It tells me that we have a very unfocused Department of Justice, and we all expect them to protect us from terrorism, money laundering, public corruption, child sex trafficking. And instead, right now, they are focused on executing the president's political grievances. Alicia, there were 5 mass shootings in 24 hours over the weekend. And so you have to ask yourself, what is the Department of Justice? What are FBI agents missing to protect us because they're too focused on protecting the president?
Right. What is the cost? Congressman Eric Swalwell, as always, thank you so much for being with us.